welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where it is time to do some more talking or shouting about Barca's current situation, because exactly what is causing the performances that we are seeing right now, specifically what is doing that, and we're going to be discussing all of those thoughts here today, which include some big questions about Xavi that I really want your thoughts on. It is all coming your way. Let's do this. However, guys, I do want to kick off right here today by talking about Robert Lewandowski. Now, he is somebody who's come under a lot of criticism over these past few games, and indeed, when Barca are going through difficult periods, quite a lot of the time Lewandowski will come under fire from Barca fans. Now, is that fair? Because it has been 6 successive games in which Lewandowski has not scored a goal. In the interest of fairness, though, I would say not all of those have been full games that he's been able to complete, but even so, that's a long run for Lewandowski without a goal. Not since his time at Borussia Dortmund way back in 2011 has he gone so long without scoring. But here's the thing, guys, and this is what I'd really hammer home right now. As much as Lewandowski hasn't been effective of late, he hasn't found the back of the net, and his numbers this season haven't really been what you'd expect of him, that for me is not even the most concerning part, because it wouldn't even be so bad if it was just a case here of Lewandowski not scoring, not quite finding the finishing touch, not quite producing the numbers that we expect. But it's more of the fact for me that as of right now, the way that he is playing, he's actively hurting us. It's not necessarily that he's just not doing anything, that he's not contributing enough. He's taking away from the team. And that's a massive problem, because not contributing is one thing, but breaking down attacks, losing easy possession, affecting our movement, affecting our speed of play, that is exactly what we do not need right now. Because look, and I want to say this too, Lewandowski would make the argument that he simply doesn't get enough service. And honestly, he would be right. He is not getting the service right now. We know the kind of forward he is. You need to supply him. He's not going to get goals on his own. You need to give him crosses. You need to give him accurate passes there in the final third. Otherwise, he won't give you goals. But he still has to sharpen up. You still have to make sure that first touch is way better than what we're seeing right now. The link-up play has to improve. We need the Lewandowski that was here when he first arrived at the club, who looked electric. Every touch that he made was measured and impactful. We haven't seen that for quite a while now, and whether that Lewandowski is still even in there, we don't know. Only time will tell, but his Barca future will depend on bringing that version of himself back to this team. However, guys, I also want to make this very clear too. The whole team at Barca is struggling right now. I don't believe that it's the fault of any one individual player. I don't believe there's one player that you can pinpoint and say it's all on them. If we got rid of them, if they weren't in the team, everything would improve. I don't think that's our problem, and I think doing that, scapegoating one player, that's not really going to help fix our problem, because as a team, as a whole team, we haven't scored more than 1 goal in a game for 5 successive matches. And that stat right there, the worst part, it surprises no one. We cannot score. We don't look like scoring. We don't create chances. We don't apply pressure to opposition. And you only have to look at the likes of Real Madrid and even Atletico Madrid this season. Atleti have scored 2 or more goals in most of their games that they played, and they're a so-called more defensive-minded team. They find it easy to score, even when they're not playing well, even when the chances aren't always flowing, they still find a way to score. Whereas Barca, we don't even look like finding the back of the net most of the time, and this is just the feeling right now that surrounds the team, and it has such damaging knock-on effects. They're not scoring, not being able to score, because not only do the lack of goals hurt our chances of winning games, we don't put the game beyond doubt, we never really look comfortable as of right now, but it goes deeper than that too, because our lack of goal threat actually gives our opponents life. It actively gives them confidence every time they play us right now, because they know they're not going to be under constant pressure. They actually are going to be able to play. They can work their way out. They can actually go and create some chances themselves, and they don't have the fear that we're going to put 2, 3, 4, 5 goals past them, which means that at some point, even if by some miracle we do score, we do take the lead in a game, our opponents, they still have belief. They still believe, okay, but Barca aren't going to score too many more. We can still get back in this game, and that gives them more life than anything. Because just think, guys, Barca teams of old, the very best Barcelona teams, they never gave opponents hope. They actively crushed it from the very moment they stepped onto the field, because they knew from the first whistle they were going to pile the pressure on. It was going to be relentless. They weren't going to let teams get out. They weren't going to give opponents chance to breathe. And when we did score that first goal, we were coming for more. We were quickly going for 2, 3, 4 goals, and we weren't going to stop. It was relentless pressure. Where is that now? The opponents that we come up against these days, we allow them time to get organised. The pace of our play is so incredibly slow. We don't move the ball quickly. We don't sustain pressure. We don't pen opponents in. We give them every opportunity to feel comfortable in a game, to play in a game, and actually to hurt us then going the other way. So it's not just here about our attack and what that means for our chances of winning games, but it's actually about that lack of goals, that lack of threat that spreads to the whole team and has really, really damaging knock-on effect on our chances of success. Which brings me on to Xavi Hernandez, and this is the perfect time to discuss it, because do you remember, guys, when Xavi first arrived at the club, not all that long ago, but every single player, they were pressing like crazy. Every single game that we played, there was intensity there. There was real hunger, and there was a real fear that if you weren't the one pressing, if you weren't working hard, if you weren't bringing the intensity from the first minute, there would be consequences, because that kind of attitude would not be tolerated at Barça. It would not be tolerated under Xavi. But you fast forward to now, what is there? There's nothing. There's no life. There's no intensity. There's no fear among the club right now. Everybody, including Xavi, seems to have gotten too comfortable, because it's almost as though it's a nice group. We're all nice and warm and cosy together. We're coasting through games, and we're all just hoping things are going to fall into place and things are just going to happen on the field and we're all going to be happy. It won't. I guarantee you now, nothing happens in football by accident. You need to work for it. You need to plan for it. And if we want to be back where we belong, where we demand that this club be, the first thing you have to do is work hard. That is the bottom line. Without that, you won't do anything. Doesn't matter how good you are, doesn't matter how good the squad is, doesn't matter how good we look. We need to bring the fight back, the urgency, the energy, because we don't have forever. It's no good here, Xavi thinking, I have enough time, the board back me, the fans back me, I'm a legend at this club, I don't really need to deliver now. The performances, the results, they can come later. We need to see evidence that we can do it, that we can perform at the levels that we have, and that we can do it consistently. Because since Xavi arrived, we've had flashes, we've had good moments, we've had good results, we've had titles, but we have lacked consistency from the get-go. And what I think it all stems down to, guys, and it's interesting to look at the comparisons between when Xavi arrived and Xavi now as a coach, because we've said it before, he flourished with a worse squad. He actually brought the best there out of lesser players, out of a smaller number of players in his team, and it's almost now as though, has it outgrown Xavi? Has it actually improved at a rate that Xavi can't really keep up with yet? Is he able to handle bigger players, bigger names, and a bigger squad? Can he get the best out of them? And can he stamp his authority on them? Can he tell them what to do? Can he convey his ideas? Because you think of those core principles that when he first arrived at the club as coach, he said, okay, these are my commandments. Can he still possess that authority? And I think that's the biggest question right now, by far and away, when you're thinking about Xavi, when you're thinking about this Barcelona team and the players that we have. Can Xavi get the best out of the team that he's assembled? Let's not forget that, guys. It's not as though we brought in lots of players here who Xavi didn't even want, and he's having to try and find a way to make them work. A lot of the money that we spent, a lot of the players that we brought in, even despite our financial difficulties, they are players that were approved by Xavi, that he wanted in his team, and now he's got them. And now is the time that he simply has to deliver, because there's no denying, guys, that Xavi did incredible things, and he did. I'm not taking that away from here. When he came in, he got us back on the right track. He turned the ship around in sensational fashion. But now we've upgraded things. Now we've spent money. Now the expectations are higher. And is Xavi the man to take us to that next level? He's done well to get us here. We're on the right path again. But is he that coach to take us on to the next step? Or has he reached his ceiling at the club now? Lots of questions right now to mull over regarding Xavi. There's lots of opinions out there. There's lots of feeling. There's lots of emotion right now, guys, because all we want at the end of the day is to succeed. There is nothing that we would love more, and we have done the whole time, than for Xavi to take this team to the top. That would be absolutely perfect. It would be a fairy tale. But obviously life doesn't always work like that. We have to make sure here that we are best suited to move forward, and Xavi has to prove that he's the man. We have to see the evidence to support what we all want to happen. And let's wait and see. Only time is going to tell us there as well. We've got the tools, we've got the players, but we have to make it happen sooner rather than later. Do let me know, guys, all your thoughts down below. Let me know your feelings right now on Lewandowski's lack of impact, on the team struggling to score as a whole, and on Xavi and our ambitions for this club. Can he take us to where we want to be? Do let me know that down below. I will see you soon with more coming up and lots more opinions on the way. Thank you indeed for supporting here. Thank you for all of you tuning in. I'll catch you soon. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça.